evening and a very warm welcome to your English news package with radio and television Tonga for the hour. Making headlines, Tonga Meteorological Services emphasized the importance of collecting rainwater in preparation for times of natural disasters. Tongan media joins preparation for World Expo 2030 Busan and Tonga's Constitution Day holiday to be observed on the 7th of November next Monday. We'll have these and more stories later on in the bulletin together with sports to wrap up with the latest weather update. Now for the stories in details. The Tonga Meteorological Services is advising the public to collect more rainwater and to use it wisely so when natural disasters occur they are stocked on this necessity as Tonga is now within the 2022-2023 cyclone season which will end next April. Tonga has experienced heavy rainfall since last week and the Tonga Meteorological Services Office has reported an increase in the average rainfall in Tongatapu and Vava'o, while other parts have recorded below average rainfall. However, rainfall is forecasted to be above average across Tonga from November to December, and Vava'o will have the highest amount of rainfall with 56 millimeters, Hawaii with 54 millimeters, Tongatapu with 45 millimeters, Nuku'alofa with 41 millimeters. Ewa and Tongatapu will record 53 millimeters of rainfall. The forecast of rainfall from January 2023 to March indicates that the highest average of rainfall will be in Fo'amoto and Ewa with 57 millimeters, Tongatapu with 51 millimeters, Nuku'alofa with 49 millimeters, Vava'o and Hawaii with 46 millimeters, and Nuku'alofa with 44 millimeters of rainfall. As previously reported, the Tonga Meteorological Services predicts that the 2022-2023 cyclone season will see a lower frequency of tropical cyclones with 1 to 2 cyclone activities predicted to take place and with higher rainfall due to continued La Nina conditions. There is a moderate to high risk of Tonga being affected by at least one severe cyclone. The peak months for tropical cyclone activity will be January and February. There is a higher chance of cyclone activity that will affect Hawaii, Tongatapu and Ewa. According to the Deputy Director of the Tonga Meteorological Services, Laitia Fifita, he says, Tonga has experienced La Nina conditions for 3 consecutive years. The world is currently in the process of preparing for the World Expo 2030 Busan in South Korea. As part of South Korea's preparations, they have given journalists from around the world to travel and learn about Korean culture and discuss matters related to the expo. A journalist from the Tonga Broadcasting Commission, Waiwhanato Bola, is currently in South Korea. Mark Ake tells you more.
The visit is hosted by the Korean Culture and Information Service in partnership with one of the leading economic newspapers in Korea, Aju newspaper. This morning, Tupola reported that invited journalists are learning about Korean culture, such as their language, costumes, traditional dances, foods, and popular sites. The program began in March, which saw 8 to 10 journalists being brought into the country every week. Also joining Tupola is TBC senior producer Sharon Ilone, and they are representing journalists from the Pacific and are taking part in the program together with journalists from Indonesia, Thailand, and Cambodia. Participants got to visit the eldest palace in South Korea, the King Joseon Dynasty Palace, including a tour to the highest tower in South Korea, the Namsan Tower, the Jogye Temple, the first local market of Seoul, the Gwangjang Market, and the Seoul National Museum. Yesterday's visit ended with an interview with the president of the Tourism Organization of South Korea, Jae Sung-ri, who spoke about the tourist sector in the country.
The 4th of November every year marks the Tonga National Day, the commemoration of when Tonga's constitution was formed by His late Majesty King George Tupo I in November 1875. The Constitution is the most superior law in Tonga and governs the nation, government, legislature, and judiciary. The acceptance of Christianity by Tupo I is a major influence to the formation and structure of the Constitution. The Constitution was adopted from Hawaii in the style of their 1852 Hawaiian Constitution. The main branches of the Constitution are the Declaration of Rights, form of government, and lands. Tonga is a constitutional monarchy with a democratic form of government. Although a constitution is almost 1.5 centuries, the government can still make amendments through the right procedures regulated by Clause 79. Clause 79 also regulates some parts of the Constitution that no amendments can make change, such as the line of their heirs to the throne and the titles of nobles, which need to abide by the law of liberty. Although this year's actual Tonga National Day falls this Friday, it is customary that it be held observed on a Monday, meaning next Monday will be a public holiday. An Australasian Pacific Ombudsman Region conference was held last month in Wellington, New Zealand, and the theme was remaining relevant and getting government to listen. Mark Ake with more on this story.
The conference was co-hosted by the Victorian Ombudsman, Deborah Glass, as well as the Regional President and New Zealand Chief Ombudsman and International Ombudsman Institute Second President, Peter Boshier. It coincided with the 60th anniversary celebration of the Ombudsman in Aotearoa, New Zealand being the first office outside Scandinavian countries and in the Pacific region. The Australasian Pacific Ombudsman Region member countries, including Tonga, agreed to be a global leader of ombudsmanship and model exemplar in the region. The conference further reaffirmed the importance of two major international agreements aimed at protecting the ombudsman and their work. The first was the Venice Principles on the Protection and Promotion of the Ombudsman Institution adopted by the Venice Commission in 2019. It set out the international standards for the Ombudsman Institution, including a firm legal foundation at the constitutional and statutory level, election of ombudsmen at the highest possible extent, the authority, impartiality, independence, and legitimacy of the institution, the freedom from any instruction from any authority, and the need for sufficient and independent budgetary resources. Secondly, the conference reaffirmed the role of the ombudsman and mediator institutions in the promotion and protection of human rights, good governance, and the rule of law. This is based on the resolution adopted by the UN General Assembly on the 16th of December 2020 that acknowledged the Venice Principles, upheld the importance of the ombudsman role, and to create and strengthen the independent and autonomous ombudsman institution. The meeting further reiterated the importance of the role of the ombudsman for the promotion of good public administration, protection of and respect for citizens' rights and well-being and fundamental freedoms, strengthening of public service through the rule of law, transparency, accountability, and fairness. Other areas of importance included the independence of the ombudsman, showing solidarity to counter the challenges of climate change, as well as committing and cooperating on the best practices of members and the wider ombudsman fraternity. The ombudsman, Aisia Tamuepeau, led the 4-member delegation from Tonga to the Australasian Pacific Ombudsman Region conference this year.
Only a few hours remain for the by-election for 3 new people's representatives to the Tonga Legislative Assembly to be held tomorrow in the constituencies of Tongatapu 4, 6 and 7. A total of 41 polling stations, including 1 each in the outer islands, has been confirmed for the by-elections. The polling time will run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow. This by-election is for the vacant parliamentary seat of Tongatapu 4, 6 and 7. The Dafu Moyaki for Tongatapu 4, Boasi Day of Tongatapu 6 and Sione Sengsta Saulala of Tongatapu 7 were unseated earlier this year after their elections were deemed void in the Supreme Court due to bribery convictions. And empowering Southern Pacific Island members to lead and progress discussions on the Southern Longline Fishery is a key focus of the South Pacific Group, or SPG, who met recently. The SPG is working to establish frameworks for collaboration on collective management of rights and interest in tuna stocks and other fisheries, a coordinated approach in the development of tuna and other oceanic fisheries, and strengthening the strategic positioning of the participants in international fora. This year is the 124th meeting of the Foreign Fisheries Committee at Solomon Islands, in which Tonga participated in. The interim chair of the SPG, Dr. Josie Tamate, said the group has been working on a MOU over the last 3 years via virtual platforms, which was challenging. He added they made great progress at the meeting last month and have brought agreements on the MOU text to work together to progress the interests and priorities of their group. This MOU will go through national processes for final approval, and they are hoping to have it available for signing at the next Foreign Fisheries Committee Ministerial Meeting 2023. That's our local news with radio and television Tonga News for the hour with Tonga Development Bank. Sports is up next with Mark Ake, and it is kindly sponsored by Pacific Timber and Hardware.
To basketball, Tonga's first national women's basketball team went down to Tahiti by 83 points to 37 at the FIBA Polynesian Cup 2022 in Kaitaia, New Zealand last night. Tonga may have not gotten the ideal start to their campaign, however, they would be proud of being the first national women's basketball team to compete in history. Number 7 for Tonga, Anna Rachel Inari, was one of Tonga's top performers and scored a spectacular buzzer beater in the end to give Tonga a well-needed consolation. Last night, the Tahitians had a fitness advantage, though Tonga were spirited and gutsy throughout the entire game. Tonga, Cook Islands, American Samoa, Tahiti, and Samoa are competing in this year's FIBA Polynesian Cup. There is also a men's basketball team in the tournament, and the two teams are known as Tonga Ma'atonga. The women's team will take on Samoa on day 2 of the competition, American Samoa in day 3, and the Cook Islands in day 4. The top 2 teams of the tournament will qualify for the 2023 Pacific Games in the Solomon Islands. The Pacific Games is the official qualifier for the Oceania region to the FIBA Asia Cup pre-qualifiers. The team is coached by William DeBerry. The team consists of Tapuaki Haunga, Nadia Rosa Selaima Lise Enare, Lesila Finau, Patiola Tonga, Ana Enare, Ana Lauteau, Mele Ahovelo, Fifita Melika, Finehika Finau, Kara Enare, Lineni Waine, and Ranoa Fifita. Moving on, Tonga captain Jason Taumalolo says they believe they can win the World Cup after he marked his return to action with 2 tries. Taumalolo is a significant figure in the modern era of International Rugby League, with his decision to commit to Tonga ahead of the 2017 World Cup, creating a snowball effect. This has led to the ongoing tournament being wide open to as many as 5 realistic winners of the trophy. Taumalolo said they've had the belief of winning the World Cup since 2017 and it hasn't wavered at all. The North Queensland Cowboys forward missed Tonga's opening 2 wins against Papua New Guinea and Wales through suspension, but he was back leading from the front in Middlesbrough, scoring a brace of tries, doubling his international try tally in the process, as Tonga thumped the Cook Islands 92 points to 10. The win has set up a mouth-watering quarterfinal against Samoa, which will be held in Warrington next Monday. Taumalolo added it's great to see players of heritage return back and play for Samoa, and he knows they're a tough team. Only 3 countries have ever won the World Cup: Australia, Great Britain, and New Zealand. The winner of Tonga and Samoa quarterfinal will go on to possibly play England in the semi-final. Australia face Lebanon, and New Zealand will entertain Fiji in the other quarterfinals.
The latest weather update issued from Tonga's Met Office at Whaamoto.
Good evening, Tonga, and welcome to our latest weather update issued from the Tonga Met Service in Whaamoto. For the current warnings for the land areas, a heavy rain warning and flash flood advisory are now in force for all of Tongan land areas. For the current duration, a trough is approaching the group from the west for this evening, and it is expected to remain over the group until Friday. Associated clouds, occasional rain and thunderstorms are expected to affect the group by tonight until Friday. Meanwhile, an east to northeasterly wind flow prevails over the group. And the forecast midnight tomorrow for Tonga for the newest, light to moderate east to northeasterly winds, with cloudy period conditions and overcast at times, with occasional rain, become heavy at times with isolated thunderstorms. And for Vava'u, Ha'apai, Tongatapu and Ewa, light to moderate east to northeasterly winds, fresh at times, with cloudy conditions and occasional rain, become heavy at times with isolated thunderstorms. So there is a potential of flash flooding expected in most low-lying areas due to heavy rain for whole of the group. And the forecast temperature we are expecting for tonight will be around 22 to 24 degrees Celsius, and the maximum expected for tomorrow will be around 26 to 28 degrees Celsius. And for the marine water bulletin and the warnings for the coastal waters, a strong wind warning and sport advisory remains in force for Vava'u, Ha'apai, Tongatapu, Ewa, Teleki Tonga and Teleki Tokelau coastal waters. And the forecast to midnight tomorrow for Tonga coastal waters, for Vava'u, Ha'apai, Tongatapu, Ewa, Teleki Tonga and Teleki Tokelau coastal waters, east to northeasterly winds of 15 to 20 knots, then rise up to 25 knots at times, with moderate seas of up to 2.5 meters wave height. And for the newest, east to northeasterly winds of 10-15 knots, then rise up to 20 knots at times, with slight to moderate seas of up to 2 meters wave height. Direction for Nuku'alofa, high tide will be at 2:30 early tomorrow morning, while low tide will be at 5 minutes to 9 tomorrow morning as well. Sun and moon sunrise will be at 3 minutes to 6 tomorrow morning, while moonset will be at 25 minutes past 2 early tomorrow morning. And now we finish it up with the 6-day forecast for Nuku'alofa. We expect a light to moderate east to southeasterly winds, with mainly fine conditions apart from some cloudy periods with possible scattered showers for next week. And the forecast temperature we are expecting in Nuku'alofa will be within 27 to 29 degrees Celsius maximum, and the minimum expected during nighttime will be around 20 to 23 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity will be around 70 to 85%.
And that concludes tonight's English news package. But before we part, here's one final look at tonight's top stories. Tonga Meteorological Services emphasized the importance of collecting rainwater in preparation for times of natural disasters. Tongan media joins the preparation for World Expo 2030 Busan and Tonga's Constitution Day holiday to be observed on the 7th of November next Monday. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for your company. I'm Alice Itopo. Have a blessed evening.